Hi there, Dr. Carmen McGuinness here with you. Today we're going to talk about what happens when the ego knocks. Stay with me. Hi there, welcome back. So, I consider myself to be a good person. I think I know who I am, what I believe, and how I feel about most things. But every now and then, maybe 10 to 20 times a day, my ego knocks. Now, when I say it knocks, I mean I feel it sort of rearing itself. And notice that I didn't say rearing its ugly self. But we'll get back to that in a minute. When the ego knocks, it doesn't mean I have to take the bait. Whew, so many mixed metaphors here on the table already and so much information. So let's back up a little bit. Ego. What is it? According to Carl Jung, the ego represents the conscious mind as it holds our thoughts, memories, and emotions within our awareness. The ego is responsible for our sense of identity and continuity within our social and emotional landscape. In other words, our relationships and our feelings. If we were to compare this to our higher, truer self, our true being, our inner child, we might say, we would find that the filters begin to fall away. We would realize that there exists an internal being who has developed without the filters of worry over what others make of us, but rather what we make of ourselves. A being who was formed by truth rather than sadness or worry or fear. And at its very kernel, we are just us, just you and me. Ego isn't ugly. At least not for most people. It's just not as beautiful and true and pure as you. And by this I mean beautiful, true, and pure to you. This isn't about anyone else. It's not, nor has it ever been, a test. At this point, many of you might be thinking, this all sounds great, Dr. McGuinness, but what do I get out of it? What's my payoff in trying to peel down this ego a bit? Well, lightness of spirit, growth, freedom, and release of a very heavy burden. It's like taking off a heavy coat on a warming spring morning. You stop having to layer yourself in something else. It's sustainable to be without that coat because it's all you. With all of that said, let's get back to my mixed metaphors for a minute. How is ego born of our otherwise perfect selves? And what does it feel like when ego knocks? And what does it mean to not take the bait? It's important to understand that you, me, all of us humans, have a limited view of the world. We have only 2 eyes and 2 ears. We only see and hear what others want us to see and hear. So it could be said that we don't see and hear the world the way it is, but rather the way our limited perception allows us to see and hear it. The architects of the world that we know are others that we interact with, who choose what they wish to tell and show us. They have egos too, and decide who we should think they are. But our ego also participates. It's also an architect. In every moment, we make our own choices as to what we wish to see and hear. These choices help form our ego image. Our true self is captive within that ego image. The ego is self-perpetuating and protects itself from crumbling. This all might sound a little scary, but it's all actually completely natural, and to an extent, good. It's a good thing, because it keeps us safe. in some ways. Think of it like the movie Avatar. When we go out into the world, out of our capsule, we need skills that in the real world, in our interior, inner world of our truest self, we simply don't have. So, Dr. McGuinness, if this is all normal and even necessary, why are you talking about it today, you might ask? Well, it's when ego is needy or pushy or dishonest, perpetuates unhealthy relationships, or goes against the true self, stopping personal growth, that things begin to get a little rocky. And as you can well imagine, this is the majority of people. How does it happen? How does the ego take over the true self, ruining our life, your life and mine, self-sabotaging the real you and the real me? Well, it happens when we walk down one of two paths. One path is those that wish to be seen, and the other those who wish to hide. I want to be clear that these two paths are not associated with the extroversion-introversion dimensions of personality. It is entirely possible to be an introvert who wishes to be seen, wishes that his parents had noticed him as much as they had his brother or sister, or paid him as much attention as they paid one another, or their work, or whatever distracted them from seeing him. Likewise, it is entirely possible to be an extrovert with this same need, or to be an introvert or extrovert who wishes to hide what he considers to be himself because he doesn't like, trust, or value the ego self he has built up around him. So we are not talking about introvert, extrovert here. We are talking about people who wish to be seen and people who wish to hide. So I'll continue with the understanding that the rest of my talk is about these two paths. Now, I've given a clue in my examples above as to how a being can come to build their ego to such great heights that it looms above and around them, either trying to be seen or to hide, but in each case, preventing them from being who they truly are, living their truest life. I'll expound. Some of us had to go to great lengths in our early life to be seen. Our parents may have been distracted with any number of life's challenges: poverty, abuse, a large family, shortage of resources, infidelity, illness, care of a family member who's unwell, unemployment or underemployment or overemployment, addiction to alcohol or drugs, sex or work, mental illness, and depression. These are just a few. Those of us who battled that demon in our childhood, trying to be seen, wanted so much for our parents to look at us, do more than just a drive-by parenting gesture, actually talk to us, to know us, have gone to great lengths to be great. Great enough for them to notice us, see us, them being our parents, and if they're gone, everyone's sense. We rescue others. We always listen even when we're so tired we can barely stay awake, or haven't taken the time to listen to ourselves. We build great castles in the sky, suburbs. We rise to the top of our profession. And in our personal lives with friends and romantic partners, we create illusions so that we may appear to be worthy of being seen. Like Donna, for instance, who created an imaginary boyfriend so that her friends would value her more. Or Lisa, who for 6 years saw Dale, a married man, but when Dale ended their relationship, Lisa never told her friends and pretended the relationship was alive and well. Well as a relationship with a married man can be. Or Jake, who hides, pretending to friends and co-workers that his marriage is ideal, when in fact, in private, his wife frequently strikes or shouts obscenities at him. Or Kayla, who hides her beautiful, vulnerable self behind a tough shell of hardened businesswoman, an ego that perpetuates with memories of an abusive father. to all of us who have endured invisibility, building grand walls of ego that no one can ignore. Instead of see me, our motto should be me, be yourself. And to those of you who choose the path to hide your shame behind a tough outer ego that even you don't like, your motto should be forgive yourself, for it is not you. And in both cases are beautiful inner beings who daily bump against the many triggers that incite an egoic response. My message to all of us is, number one, notice when it happens. And number two, resist it. When you notice yourself about to tell a lie or half-truth that does nothing, absolutely nothing, maybe no harm in the whole world, but perpetuate your outer wall, your shell, simply resist. When you notice yourself about to, or in the middle of a lie about an imaginary boyfriend or girlfriend, a yoga session that you didn't attend, the award you never achieved, the wonderful wife you actually fear, the nice thing your boss said that was really never said, or any other hyperbole or gesture with no goal but to inflate yourself, resist. Now, clearly this is hard to do. But the more you notice the urge to inflate the ego, the easier it becomes to say no. And the more you say no, the more room your true self has to express him or herself. Think about it, even if it's a harmless little thing. Say a conversation with your sister in which she asks what you're up to today, and you want to appear to be good, kind, pure, earnest. So you say, well, I just finished my yoga practice and I'm about to have a walk in the garden. When in fact, you've been binging on news and about to pour yourself a glass of wine. Now, neither of these two things is bad. I binged on news just yesterday and I'll probably have a glass of wine after I'm done here today. This isn't a judgment. But when you choose to lie, to paint a different ego image around yourself, you lie not just to your sister, but also to yourself. And eventually, you don't have to even do yoga or walk in the garden anymore. You just have to lie about having done it. And instead of your real self, your true self, you are living in a shell of who you wish you were. Today, when each of us is spending a lot of time alone, I'm recording this in, I almost said the middle of the pandemic, but some people say it's nearing the end, but it actually is probably pretty near the beginning of the pandemic of 2020. It's especially easy to notice these inclinations because we are home alone a lot. My call to you today is to notice and resist them. As you do, you'll find your true self getting stronger, being you instead of reflecting who you want everyone to see. To support your work, you might keep data, lying down the middle of a page of paper, and on one side a tick mark for every time you feel the urge and give in. And on the other side, a tick mark for every time you feel the urge and don't give in. And instead, kick one of those bricks out of the wall that you've built around yourself. And as you do, you might find yourself journaling about the discoveries you make. Who it is that triggers these inclinations. Maybe they don't belong in your life. Or maybe you can fix the relationship. What worries, fears, or inadequacies come up when you try to resist? And what emerges when you actually do resist? What feeling settles in? And of course, like so many other things in self-discovery, you may find there's yet another layer to the onion that you call me. I hope this has been helpful. If you find this sort of work calls to you, that there's a place in your heart for this, especially now, when so many of us have so much time, I hope you'll consider my book, Raising Your Inner Child, or the online course version by the same name. And of course, I'll put links in the description box. I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday for my midweek sneak peek as to what we'll talk about next Sunday. And until then, I hope your day and your week are sunny and that you remain safe.